Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how does he know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Dan. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Jen, how are you? Good to be here.
I am doing pretty good today. It is Sunday, July 10th, 2022, and we are on episode number 10. Is it subconscious or unconscious? Dan, do you want to kind of give us a synopsis of what you're going to be going over today?
The red lines and how they're speaking out the other half of our truth, and how without them, it's not even half anymore. It might as well be all of it. What's a cake when you miss half the ingredients? I love my cake analogy. So it's really put together. There are totality and a holistic whole between the black and the red lines that merge together to make the holistic being. But when we're not in touch with the red lines, it's like we might as well be missing basically all of it in a way. So how they tell us our truth and how to sort of get in touch with them.
That I'm excited that you're going to be diving in that today.
Yeah, and there's no names on the charts, Jen. They didn't need names. They're just examples. Yep.
I saw that. So before we dive in today, guys, please make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. And if you haven't already, check the link out down below and book your session with Dan. We have Aaron and Savannah joining us today. So I'm going to pop Aaron on, and then Savannah will be with us in a little bit.
Awesome.
Aaron should pop on.
She'll be there.
She's on behind the scenes, but she may be frozen for a moment. So we'll wait for her camera to refresh.
I'm so grateful that we have our crew and the people that we love, and we're all in on this together, because really we need to always bounce stuff back and forth. I could just be a talking head, but then, that's how Ra did it. He's strictly lecture, as you guys have noticed. He speaks and that was it. And I'm just glad we have all of us here to do this, bounce it and knock it around.
Yes. So thank you for that, Dan.
Yep. Hey, Aaron, how are you, hon?
Hi, good, thank you. How are you guys?
Good. Thank you for joining us today, Aaron.
Thank you for being patient. I had to switch to my hotspot, but I'm good now. It's the Wi-Fi.
I understand tech difficulties. Sorry, Dan.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always that hot spot. Aaron, I hear you're coming back this way before too long.
Yes. Yep. By August.
Aaron is, for anyone who doesn't know, you're in, I almost said Guadalupe. You're in Guatemala, right?
Guatemala. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm in the northern part of Guatemala.
Look
in
at
the jungle.
That. In the
yes.
jungle.
Mm-hmm.
Is it nice down there? What's it like? What are the people like?
Dan,
it's really nice.
You've been there before, then?
No, I've never been there.
Oh. Yeah, me neither.
It's really nice. It's cool. I recommend coming. The different animals are really cool. And it's been a really good spot for me to keep going with my experiment of human design and integrating stuff. And I'm in a small town, and I've noticed I'm a triple split. So my understanding is that means that I need to have a lot of interactions in my day with different people and stuff. I benefit from sitting in a cafe with a bunch of people.
Do you find yourself doing that?
I do, but here that isn't like a thing. So I've noticed that has been like something that's caused frustration for me when I want to sit down at my laptop. I'm like, oh, I'm only like either like on my bed in my room or like at the desk out here. So, so yeah, I've noticed. I'm like, oh, like maybe this like location specifically doesn't like work for my design like for full time.
So you find that it gnaws at you a little bit now that you're seeing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Like I'm like I want the library.
Yeah. Library, what an amazing place. I'll mention that one next time I'm talking. Do a triple split. Libraries too, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Guarantee nobody bothers you because you're in a library, but they're still there.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep. Very cool. So today what we're doing is I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a mystery to everybody why there are black lines and red lines. And when we put them together as a channel, right, we talk about the channel and everyone can identify with the channels that they have and so forth. But they still don't, we haven't really discussed this duality, this difference between the red and the black. And Jen, the very first slide is just an empty body graph with space behind it. So, I mean, here we go. Look, picture this as you coming into form. You're about to be born and you've been conceived and your body's being built. And this body graph is in the background and all the stellar fields behind us and behind it are pouring through their neutrino information. They're pouring it in and our genome is picking this stuff up as different vibrations by which it will differentiate depending on what planets are in the way. We've been through this before. Planet gets in the way, it strikes us different. What we don't know, what I don't go over very much is on the right side of the body graph, the black personality, this is actually struck into us. We sort of basically get this at birth. At birth, this is where we get our calculation for what our personality will be. But what a lot of people don't really recognize is 88 degrees of the movement of the arc of the sun. 88 degrees is about a third of a year, 3 months, a quarter of a year. Backwards is where the design crystal of consciousness that the body holds is given its imprinting. That's why there's two different sets of information. They're different. It's the same set of planets on the right and the left, yet the numbers are different. The information is different. The database changes because we get an imprinting 88 degrees of the sun before birth. And then we get a second one, that's our design. And then we get a second one, which is our personality at birth. These are where these two sets of information are struck. So where are all the planets in the sky? 88 degrees of the sun, or 3 months, approximately 1 trimester before birth. Where are all the planets a trimester before birth? Well, they're in a different place than they are at birth. So the two sets of information and the two databases are different. So it's these red lines that, Aaron, something occur to you?
I have a question. Yeah. What if, like, so is the location based off your birth location? Like, what if the pregnant person was in like Europe 3 months before and then you were born like in Boston?
That's just a great question. It's all based on where you are at the time of birth.
Okay.
And then they go back 88 days?
88 degrees, which is about 90 days.
So it's based on the same location, regardless of if you were in Guatemala 3 months before you were born.
And that's actually a really, really good question. What will happen is inside the information, as science starts to recognize, hey, there's information in this neutrino feed. Right now, they just know that neutrinos have mass and they're pouring through us. No one has yet been able to decode what that information inside each tiny little neutrino is. And they'll break it apart and realize, wow, we're being communicated with. Why wouldn't we be? Matter is pouring through us. If I communicate with a brick wall at 50 miles an hour, it's going to be a very painful communication with the brick wall. So we communicate with the matter around us. But back to this 88 degrees, and it doesn't matter where you travel throughout the world. It knows at the time of birth to simply go backwards and give what was there at wherever your location is. That's where it gives you your differentiation. Because of course people travel all over the place, but it doesn't matter because it's where you are at the time of birth. Lots of questions will pour in on that because I realize there's things that seem to not make sense, but they will, and I'll have to cover it on a different show or a different time, right? Because we could come up with things that, hey, well, something doesn't quite add up here, and it feels like that, but it does. So just stipulate to that for now. So once we get that, what we get is, if you go to the next slide, Jen. So all the data is pouring through. It gives us a bunch of numbers that light up on the body graph, right? And then we get 2 sets of information. And Savannah, thank you for this. This is a nice, simple version of the black and the red lines. Our soul purpose, the black lines. Well, that can be fleshed out into our personality, who we think we are. And soul purpose is a little bit vague, but it is technically, the personality consciousness crystal does have an aspect that stays the same throughout all of time. And this is that trajectory that keeps coming back in. This is what we think of as reincarnation as we keep incarnating. Again, for a different show. But soul purpose, personality, who we think we are, that which we have touch with. Was someone about to say something?
No, I will after.
Okay. So the red lines are this life purpose, because it's the body. It's the vehicle we live in. It gives the vehicle its information. And the vehicle has its own crystal of consciousness, its own consciousness filtering mechanism. So the personality filters the neutrino stream and it gives us our conscious personality. That's our consciousness that we think of. But our body has the exact same flippin' thing that gets struck into place, again, minted like a coin, 88 degrees of the sun prior to birth. So there's no difference. It's doing the exact same thing. It's filtering the neutrino stream, giving us a differentiated set of red lines. We call it the life purpose. That would be a good name for it. It's also that which our body must do. It's the information our body is always giving us. And the red lines are to be looked at like tunnels. Everything that comes out of a red line is that which comes out of a tunnel. Everything that comes out of a black line is that which comes out, was that which is on a road. Look at it like roads and tunnels. You're sitting by the side of a road and you can participate with that road. You can see what's going by. You can walk down to the road and hitch a ride. You can get on your bicycle and drive on the road. You can participate. So everything going by, you're participating with. But the red lines, they're tunnels. You can't participate with any of it until it comes out of the tunnel. So what comes out of tunnels? Everything. A truck. Yeah, Jen?
So what is conscious and unconscious?
That's what we're getting at. So we use these conscious and unconscious terms to be, the unconscious is the red lines. We don't have conscious access to it, because our body gives it to us, and our body speaks to us through our chemistries, right? We're all getting pretty dang familiar with these chemistries, frustration. Go ahead.
So would that be like the when people get intuitive hits with their bodies, it's really their red lines talking to them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't like the life purpose. I don't like how that's said, because people can get hung up with soul and life purpose
all day long. Absolutely. That's what I want to flesh them out.
I would take that life off. But that's what I'm trying to get.
Too.
Huh?
I would take the soul off too. Soul purpose, life purpose.
Well, no, I necessarily wouldn't do that, because you are a direct instrument and connected with the divine through the black lines, it seems. So if you are operating out of your soul purpose, out of your soul, you would be able to take notice that through observing the black lines.
But to nuance that, Jen, we are operating through the divine, through our unconscious red lines purpose too. And they must come together. So it could all be called our soul. You know what? I like soul purpose if you put it for all of them in a way.
That would make sense.
Yeah. Put it all together for that. But whoever made this.
Oh, I've also heard the red lines it's the life that is here to be lived. It's but we're not aware of it. So it's kind of like your body's consciousness and kind of like your body's trajectory that it wants to do. But then the black would just be like, is what you think you're supposed to do. So sometimes isn't there kind of a battle down between the red
Yeah.
design and the personality, because we're not aware of the red. It's like
The battle royale is what it is, and it leads to our not self purpose always rearing its ugly head over and over and over again. That's the thing. It is a battle, and it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be the cosmic union. You know how we're all talking about, hey, love ourselves. The very first cosmic love affair, the very first real soulmate, is the personality and the design consciousness is merging and saying, hey, I love you, dude. You're all right. You deliver.
You can't love anybody else until you love yourself.
Right. And that loving of yourself very much. If we were on the couch of a psychology office, it would be, let's get in touch with your red lines. You know, that would be a thing in psychology, or if they ever wake up enough to start incorporating this.
And this is also, this is why I like human design so much better than astrology, because I feel like astrology is just telling you your personality side, what you know about yourself. But astrology can't tell you that kind of like unconscious, subconscious part of who you are. They can't tell you that. But that's what I love about
it. When you start pulling in comments and some of the other stuff, I've had some people really pull out some unconscious. So
they do.
It depends on what type of astrology reader you are. Human design kind of simplifies it. When you go into astrology, there's so many different boxes. It's a broad, there's so many different readers that can do different things. But you're right. Most of them don't go into the unconscious because most people are not focused on the unconscious.
Well, and there's a point that you make that's really good. So both of you are making actually the perfect point. So astrology is incorporated into the design body graph. So it gives us our keynotes that we can actually call out and speak about in a mundane way and call out the aspects. So that's really cool. But astrology is onto something, because the more you listen, everybody in space can technically affect us. It's just our hardware and software hasn't necessarily upgraded enough to receive it all easily. And we'll keep upgrading as time goes by. Hail Bop will make a difference. When Hail Bop comes by, it is filtering the neutrino ocean that pours through us. Comets, hey, you know, that whole, what is it, the Kuiper belt between us and Jupiter? That debris belt that's sort of circling everything. I forgot the name of it. It's in between. It's in between the inner planets and starting with Jupiter and the outer planets. There's a belt of debris. I imagine it's filtering the consciousness field. It's just too small, and we haven't figured out necessarily how to read it, and our bodies won't necessarily pick it up. But back to the symbol of the red and the black, this consciousness that is filtering through us, we have to get in touch with these red lines so we can have harmony in our black lines. Our black lines know they want to know and do stuff, and they constantly get tripped up by what's red and what's unconscious in us. So the reason we said, is it subconscious or unconscious? Subconscious is a psychological term, and it implies that it's like within us, but somehow or other it's part of the personality. It is not. This is totally unconscious, and we could even go one step further and say it's different. It's not even unconscious. It's more than unconscious. It's hyper unconscious. We can't tell it what to do. It's a one-way street. Only it can tell us. And what it tells us is we're wicked unhappy, so suddenly we're not listening to it and we're depressed and everything's going wrong. Or it can tell us, hey, you're lined up. You've noticed us. Thank you. If you're a generator, you're hearing your response. If you're a manifester, you're seeing where is the peace. If you're a projector, you're noticing where is the victory, and you're noticing where it isn't, and you're noticing all the spots that you get recognized. So if we move to and you're happy with that, in other words, you're like, oh, okay, I thought I wanted that, but I guess I don't get to have it. Good enough. And you move on. Like the dog, the dog just moves on. We're all dogs.
I like how the design side, it kind of tells you things about yourself that other people notice like right away and can tell you, oh yeah, you totally do that. But when you have your red lines, like the themes and the keynotes of those red lines read to you, you're like, what? Like, no, that's not me. Like, that's just what I noticed with myself. And I noticed that's like a big part of the deconditioning is understanding the red lines, because they're going to help you see and understand things about yourself that you've been kind of clueless to, but then everyone else understands it and sees it in you, but you don't see it in yourself. So I feel like understanding the red is like a huge part of the deconditioning process in human design. So you're not constantly fighting that part of you. You're seeing and having awareness of it, and you're able to like embrace it and have the two come together so that you can be in alignment, right? Because isn't the black
it's very
like,
true, Savannah. People are telling us all the time, hey, this is sort of like just how that person is. And in fact, as we start to pass our first Saturn return into our late 20s and 30s, we start to realize, oh, that's just how I am. And now we can give names to that you've noticed, so that you can name it and start to realize that truly is. And even better, I'm not something else. I guess that's just how I am, A. And B, I guess that means I'm also not the other thing that I want to think I am. You know, I'm a generator. I want to think I'm a manifester. You know, I just want to go do. I have to wait to respond. It's felt terribly limiting when I first heard that. I was like, come on, man, what are you saying? I'm a doer. No, I'm not. I was a sick doer, and I'm a healthy responder now. So, two different worlds. The next slide goes to I forgot what the next slide was. Yeah, this we threw in here just so we could go back to it, because we may be going back to this. I thought this was pretty decently fleshed out. I would still flesh it out further, and when we get onto our talks afterwards, I think we're going to make our own chart, you know, of the themes of these open centers. So we may need to come back to this, but I thought I would just keep it here as reference, you know, what the not self-talk of these open centers are, because that not self-talk is going to highly, highly condition what the hanging gates are on the open centers. Most open centers have a hanging gate, right? And that hanging gate's going to become the theme of that open center. And if it's red, we want to know. So the next slide. This was a great one, Savannah. I'm glad these two are put together. Thank you, Jen. It's a little hard to read the small writing, but it's the head and the ajna that hold the personality and the design crystal, and then they're held together. They're literally held together in something science is looking for. The astronomers are desperately looking for the rest of what is the mass of the universe, and they're looking for what's controlling its expansion, and it's the monopole. There's a magnetic monopole in everything. The universe is filled with them. And when science finally measures it and finds it, they'll be like, oh, the relative mass of the universe is controlled by something called a magnetic monopole. And they'll finally figure it out. In our body graph, this is what holds the personality and design together. It holds us together in this one human body, one unit. And it's sort of an illusion that we think we're separate from the things that go on in us. And it's an illusion. We're held together in this illusion of our separateness from everything else. And so we live out a life juxtaposed to everything else. Right? Jennifer, you live out your life as your Jennifer-ness, and I live out as my Dan-ness, and Erin lives out as her Erin-ness, and Savannah as her Savannah-ness. We have no choice in that. And it ends up being an illusion because, I mean, at the end of it all, we're not really separate. All the components go back to their original state, awaiting remanifestation into a new body. So what are we really separate from? It's hard to tell. But it's this vehicle. The body is the vehicle. It holds the monopole. It holds these consciousness filtering aspects together. And don't look into any mysticism about these design crystals and these consciousness crystals. We use the word crystal just to define what its function is. It's filtering the consciousness stream that's pouring through us all the time, which is through the breath of the neutrino that's always pouring through us. And so the filtering aspect that is our personality, that's the passenger. And look at in the pretty pink picture. I like that it's a pink Cadillac. That makes me laugh. So the passenger, look at it screaming. It's making all kinds of noise. It's like, turn left, turn right. Does anyone remember being 4 and 5 years old and driving down the road and just looking out the window? I remember that. I mean, clearly that I just looked out the window. That was before we knew to be a pest about everything and try and control the drive. Sure, all kids turn into annoying little brats and start asking, are we there yet, sooner or later. But when they forget to ask, are we there yet, they're back staring out the window. If you photo cammed the average drive, you would see mostly the children being absorbed in their own little trip or staring out the window. 97% would be that, and 1, 2, or 3% would be them complaining. Back to forgetting that they're just a passenger, not in control of things. That would be a good moment to recognize, hey, my children are being conditioned away from their nature. That's moments like that to just recognize, hey, they stopped looking out the window. I just thought of that now. So the driver is this monopole. The passenger is this personality consciousness that sits above our head. It's in our crown. We're always talking about crown stuff. Well, that's why everything that is our personality is up there. But it's in our ajna, our neocortex, where this design crystal sits. It sits there just doing its thing, and it stays there the whole time, and it cooperates with the personality crystal to give us the duality of our life. The vehicle is the body, the driver is the monopole, the body holds the design filtering aspect, gives us our red lines, and the black lines are given to the passenger. And the passenger is not aware it's even in a car half the time. That's why it's always screaming. It's just the passenger is not aware until it's aware of the other half of itself. And you can see on the picture on the right, personality, design, and the actual driver. So that's the little trinity that is holding us together that the rest of the body graph operates on. Look at it like a vehicle. Driving down the road, it's got a driver. The personality is not the driver. Probably go to the next slide.
Oh, Dan, isn't it though, like the personality, the conscious side of us wants to control, right? The design body.
Yes, it
when
does.
Really, it's almost like the personality has to surrender to the design, our body. Like, isn't that kind of what it's getting at? Is
yes,
the personality wants to control and think it's in control. And there's this fight, but really it's like we have to surrender to the body and the designed gates in our chart. And they say isn't that when you do that, that's when your life comes into alignment.
That's when you first notice you're in the experiment, when you start to realize, oh my God, there's a name for that thing that just came out of a tunnel. There's a name, and it's reliable. It keeps coming. Every time it comes out with that name. I can give it that name or those sets of keynotes. I can weave it into an explanation to myself. I can see it. And as we keep talking about it, seeing it kills it, meaning seeing it brings it into perspective. It washes away the old, and it brings in the acceptance of that we are a living duality. We are a binary consciousness. I mean, it's a beautiful little vehicle we're in. If I were an alien species, I would want to come to Earth and live out one of these lives. I'd be like, hey, let's go there. It's pretty cool. We can, pick our temperate zone we want to live in. They got lots of water. They grow food. It's good. It's a miracle little Garden of Eden here that we do a good job of messing up. Right? Yeah. So look at it just like what Savannah was saying. We conflict with it, and the passenger is not in charge. It's not in charge. Really get used to the fact that we are a binary consciousness. And I want to drive that home. We're a living duality. There's two of us. And it didn't used to always be that way. In the seven-centered being, those two of us was in a straight line. And it really was one of us, and mind was in charge. It was just smack squarely in charge. When we finally erupted into this nine-centered being and fleshed ourselves out, that's when the duality really became pronounced. And it was like, hey, you can see it. And what I want you to do in your experiment is the moment you see it, ask yourself, who's noticing? Hey, something just came out of a tunnel. Well, who the hell's noticing this? Who's noticing? I mean, that's a rather miraculous moment. Jennifer, you were going to...
Wouldn't it be the individual?
The personality is noticing, because that's what we have access to. The personality has all the aspects that the whole body has, as well as the design. It's just the differentiated parts are what comes out of the tunnel or lives there as what we think we are. But they're all available. And so the personality can literally be like, I just noticed that. And then it can notice its difference. It can notice its unique separateness inside the body graph. I'm separate from that which comes out of a tunnel. So it's pretty cool. It's like, oh my God, I just noticed. So next slide was, if these two slides got put together, I think we're stepping into some body graphs. So here we go. Here's some body graphs. On the left, we have a projector. Now look at, there's red gates in almost all the centers that are open. And there's gates in all the centers, and there's lots of red floating around here. Pick any gate. Pick any gate. Pick a gate, Aaron. A number, any number, if you can see them. Can you see the numbers?
I can see. I pick on the left number 32. And I have a question about that too. Like, see how 32 on the left, it's like striped, like red, black, red, black, red, black?
Yep.
And then on that same graph, for example, on the other side of it from 49 to 19, it's half red and then half black.
Yep. Well, remember, we get 13 different differentiation spots for the personality and for the design. So on the left-hand side, let's do that 32. So that 32 is on the left-hand side's data bank. It's in the Pluto. This person's design truth is they will look out for the continuity of life, and it's in a first line, so it's introspective. That first line is always a little bit insecure until it has a foundation. Back to the line theory, but over on the right, it's so in their Pluto line 4. So the truth of this person's personality is they would like to externalize that which they're afraid of failing. And they're probably very insecure about what they're afraid of failing, because underneath is a design red line mixed in with it. So Aaron, to answer your question simply, it's on both sides of the body graph. So they stripe it so that you can see it's a black and a red line. So this individual has conscious access to that. They have a fear of failure, and that when they deal with that fear of failure, it can, if they're meditating, that fear of failure can sort of come in and then it can go by. It can show up just intermittently, come and go. But what's unconscious on them is what comes out of a tunnel is this deep need to investigate how will they do what 32 does. 32 is the splenic awareness to drive the continuity that ensures the material success of the tribe. It's an awareness that says we will have continuity as it relates to the material we bring into the tribe. It wants to be driven. It's part of the channel of synthesis, not synthesis, the channel of being driven. What is that, Savannah? I forgot. The channel of being transformation. It's always here trying to transform material into material success. It's wanting to transform its energy into tribal material success so it can bring that material home to the tribe and ultimately feed all the children and keep the tribe growing. It's very transformative. It's highly energized, and 32 is sitting there with this awareness saying, hey, no, good. That keeps the continuity. Oh, bad for continuity. We like continuity in our tribe so that we know what we're going to get tomorrow. So it's always driving. Oh, I'm afraid of failure. Don't do that. Do it this way. And so 32 is constantly giving us a little moment of fear, which drives awareness. So the first line fear is introspective. It's insecure. It's lower trigram. It doesn't even know that there's a 54 on the other end of the gate, on the other end of that channel. And so that 32 is sitting there just afraid of failure and insecure, and it doesn't know there's anything out there to give it a life raft. So this person can become terribly insecure about that feeling of failure. How come it lingers? That's what this 32-1 can say. Why does my truth seem to focus on the failure I can't identify yet? I'm still studying it. I don't have a foundation yet. And then here comes that fourth line 32 fear, and it's conscious, and it's like, well, I got a voice for it. I can speak it out. That fourth line is in the upper trigram, the 4, 5, and 6. It knows there's stuff on the other side. It knows it's transpersonal looking out at the other. And so it's saying, hey, to assuage this fear, I'm going to cooperate with someone else. That's all. And so it knows it likes to cooperate with other people when it's in communion, trying to keep the continuity together and wanting to be driven for material success. Okay, but it has that nagging fear underneath. So this person gets caught up on a trip of a nagging fear underneath that they can't explain. Now they have words for it. You're just concerned about the continuity of whatever it is you're doing. Let's pick a red line on the body graph on the right.
I
Oh,
was
or-
gate 44 because I think that's Jen's chart, right? The one.
don't read off the names. So the gate 44 on the left hand side, there's a 26. Yeah, these two charts would actually be compatible, 26 and 44. But so 44, I have this unconscious in my chart too.
Yeah, so do I.
44 continues that continuity in that tribal stream of awareness, and it continues it, and it is a lot like the personnel manager in a way. It's sitting there always looking back and forth with, what am I going to do with this fiery ego? Hey, the ego can roar. So this individual has conscious access that their ego wants to roar, but they don't necessarily have conscious access to the fact that their continuity with the past, bringing forward into the present, again, not wanting to fail, but in this case, the fear mushrooms out even a little further. It mushrooms out into the expression of, I have a potential fear of my own extinction. Now that comes out of nowhere. Oh shoot, I'm afraid of my own extinction. Of it's a fear of extinction. It's a fear of the past. It's a fear that if I don't keep control of this ego, the ego will run too hot and I'll burn out. Or if I don't help guide this ego with my awareness, again, spleen is awareness, ego's a motor. The motor is not aware. The spleen is aware. So the spleen delivers this moment to moment intuitive awareness that says, hey, this is good. No, don't be afraid of the past here because we're good. We've done this already. Or, hey, not quite sure. Have some fear so I can become aware. The fear drives awareness. And yet we hold on to fear through all of time. Hey, I've noticed I'm afraid of my own extinction. It just keeps hitting me. I'm afraid of my own demise. I'm afraid that I'm not going to make it. And that fear can sit there and drive away at the person over and over again for who knows how long, until they recognize, oh, I'm being delivered that. It just must mean I'm being delivered something to keep my ego hot or to keep my ego cool. So the ego motor gets too hot and it burns out. It gets too cool and it fizzles out. Either way, the tribe falls apart if that 26 runs too hot or too cold. So along comes the splenic awareness to regulate it. Hey, cool down a little, or hey, heat up a little. Hey, you're running just right. Stay there. And boom, now that ego delivers this ego willpower resources, tribally speaking, to the community and to everything around. And boom, we have a podcast, for example. The ego runs just hot enough and just cool enough to be just right. It runs in that Goldilocks zone. And that's what gate 44 does until that person is taking that gate 44 or even that gate 36 on the other side. If I take this 44, the 36, and the 6 and I keynote them all together, we start to see fears that show up that are the fear of intimacy, the fear of friction, the friction regarding the intimacy I will or won't have. Why am I having a friction on that? The 36, the crisis that is really just inexperience, but it feels like a crisis. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I don't know yet. And then suddenly, I don't know. I'm not sure what the conflict is. I'm afraid of failure. I'm afraid of the continuity not being kept. I can't get out of my own way. I can't get out of my own way for an hour, a moment, a year, however long the gods chose to torture us before we recognized it. And the whole recognition process is recognize, if I just read your red lines, we're really going to see where a lot of the hangups are, the things that keep us away from our nature. This person has a gate 11, and that gate 11 from the Ajna center pointing down is ideas. So this person can be terribly insecure that their ideas aren't coming fast enough. They're not in control of when their ideas show up. They come out of a tunnel. I have a bunch of great ideas today. So for this person, I would ask them to recognize on the days when the ideas don't seem to be flowing, okay, go play golf, go knit a hat, go play dominoes, go skip rope, hopscotch, sleep, whatever. Go lay in the sun because the ideas aren't there. As soon as you stop looking for the ideas, they'll show up. They come out of a tunnel and they're outside of your ability to force it. And
I have
then,
a question.
Yes.
So the red lines, like using the idea of the tunnel, I'm like picturing like if you were on a road, you could like be like, I want to turn around, and you could do like a 3-point turn. But like if you're in a tunnel, like you can't turn around in a tunnel because it's like a one-way probably, and like it's too dark and like scary. So my question
turns. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, like you have to just keep going. So it's like I feel like red is like the vehicle, so it's just the way that you are. So I feel like when we talk about like subconscious or unconscious stuff, it's like we paint it as like negative or like shadow stuff, like stuff that needs to be like transmuted or changed. But I'm getting the sense that we don't need to transmute what is the red. We need to like recognize it and then use it, because you're in that tunnel. Like you're going that's where you're going. Like that's the way you have to go to get there. So it's like learning how to ride in the tunnel instead of like.
And you don't even sort of ride in the tunnel because it doesn't tell you until it emerges. It's the personality that does the recognizing of stuff. It's the body that gives us the chemistry the personality is supposed to recognize.
Can I share an example? Because I think that just happened to me like a couple weeks ago.
Please.
So, and it was like a moment of the personality realizing like, oh, like that's not like working for you because of frustration coming up. So a generator, my not self theme is frustration. So as you guys know, I taught for 5 years, and since leaving education like 3 years ago, I've still been like tutoring and teaching and doing random stuff. Mm-hmm. And even here in Guatemala, like starting like a Spanish school with a friend, and we had some like students and stuff. And I realized like, I was like, this is like frustrating me. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I have to like go somewhere and I have to like be there at like 11. And I had the realization, I'm like, I am a teacher, but like I'm not meant to teach like normal stuff anymore, is like the realization that I had. So like I was like, okay, well, let me teach Spanish because like that's like cooler at least than like math or whatever. So is that maybe an example of like, yes, like teaching is something that I do, but like keeping myself in that like conditioned box of like, well, of course it's English or math or science or just like the classic like school stuff. Not that that stuff isn't valuable in some ways.
If you were feeling frustrated, Erin, if you were starting to feel frustrated with the subject matters you were limited to and or the time frames that you were supposed to teach on, the moment that frustration was coming in, your body was giving you chemistry. And if we were, again, to diagnose your red lines, we would start to see, again, all the lines can be diagnosed. It's not like we have perfect access to our personalities either. We're still riding those things like a surfboard on a big Maui wave. So we're still getting used to that. But the red lines I would use to diagnose where that frustration absolutely is hitting home, because we don't ride the red lines. We await their emergence out of a tunnel. What can come out of a tunnel? Go ahead, Jen.
Do we know when the energy is going to come? What triggers the energy, or just comes?
It just comes. That's
so for me, it just came. Yeah, like I was just like, why am I frustrated? I was like making good money, and like I like didn't have that much money in the bank at that time either. And I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like, so I just listened to it. Yeah.
Undoubtedly, you didn't want to do it. You didn't want to do it. And if had I been there in the moment, 2 generators, I would have started asking you questions. Mm-hmm. Yes, no questions, and we would have sort of got to stuff. And so if that was a couple of weeks ago, Erin, you're emotional. So what did your wave tell you later about the clarity you got on all of that?
That is correct. And that like for me going somewhere before like 12 p.m. is not like aligned for me. Like I like to have my mornings and do my morning routine and like be.
You're a hermit.
Chilling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give the hermit their space, man. Let them totally stroll in. Let that hermit stroll in 10 minutes late, man. Let them stroll, and you'll get their very best self. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All day long. I would absolutely see that. So on the left-hand chart, there's lots of red. Lots of it. This person's ajna center is always lit up. So gate 4 is red. They're not always certain why they're formalizing the formulas that come out of gate 4. It's called youthful folly, and it can come up with a formula for anything. It's literally, it's been given a pass on anything that would give it judgment. The formulas can come from anywhere, and they do. And so this person gets a little bit bummed when their formulas show up out of a tunnel, not on their timing. They think they want it sooner, and suddenly it didn't come sooner. It came when it came. So when this person starts to recognize, oh, I'm pushing the river with what it is I'm about to come up with, they can start to realize, oh, I too have to wait. We're all waiting. Even though the manifestor's here to do and physically make an impact and initiate, they still have to wait for what they feel like initiating. We're all waiting. No one gets a pass on the waiting business. No one. And as soon as this person, this being, starts to realize waiting is an active, enlightened state of awareness, they're waiting aware. They can literally be sitting there waiting for these 3 red lines in their ajna, all the insights out of 43 that just want to break through, all the opinions and the knowing that can accept its knowingness coming out of gate 17 that understands, all that understanding that flows out of between gate 4 and gate 17. It's that's the crisscross we went over before. It's a beautiful awareness stream. And as soon as they wait and be like, I'm just waiting, like a person waiting at the line for the guy to shoot the gun to start the race, boom, waiting at the starting line. And everything runs fine for this person as soon as they wait and stop trying to push the river of, they know ideas seem to show up. They know that that they have breakthrough moments, aha moments. And they know that they put a good amount of understanding out into the world. They know that, but it's intermittent. They're on open centers. And so this person undoubtedly will have done many little videos or things or knickknacks and sayings and journalings about what was wrong with all of that in their first, by the time they were 20 to 30. And then after they got to 30, they started to sort of accept it. And their friends would say, oh my God, you have such good ideas. They just show up. You have such great breakthroughs. Their timing is exquisite. And whenever we're around, you give me good ideas. Don't forget, we put our design into the other. And this individual gets used to, hey, as soon as I'm in the aura of the other, I give them good ideas. Yeah, bam. And that feels empowering to this person. And suddenly they feel recognized. It's a projector after all. And they're emotional. So suddenly they can realize the principles of my emotional way are given flight. And I feel emotionally full and tribally accepted. And I feel like I'm moving things rather than I feel like I'm stuck in things.
Dan, something, is it okay if I make a comment on the graph? So that 4426, that's the salesman, isn't the transmitter.
Yep.
I have that same channel just like that, where the 44 is red, unconscious, and the 26 is both red and black.
Yep.
And so that if you have that channel, like what I learned through studying my human design is that they're persuasive. They're good at explaining to people why they need something, why other people should do this thing. And so I always used to think like, oh, I'm not persuasive. Like I'm not a good salesman. Like I used to think that about myself. And that's because gate 44 was unconscious to me. I didn't realize I had that ability there. But once I started, so this person, they're just like, I resonate with that because our charts are the same. And so in that way. And so it wasn't until I started studying my human design, I started to notice on Facebook, what was I always constantly doing? I was always
transmitting a message.
I was transmitting a message about why someone should do this thing and why it's going to benefit them and how it's helped my life and how it's going to help your life. Like, so it's really cool to learn your red because a lot of times you think you don't have that quality that's there, but
and
it is that
what you do. And that's what you're doing all the time. It's glorious. And it being red means that redness as coming out of the spleen is our awareness. So the red coming out of that spleen is I'm not aware because I have to wait. I have to wait for its awareness to like click in. And then finally my personality, once it sees it, can be like, who's noticing? I'm noticing. What am I noticing? I'm noticing my body. My body has its own consciousness. And it is its own brain, its own mind, its own consciousness, its own awareness. It's as profound as the personality. It's got as much to say as the personality. And the only difference is 88 degrees of the sun and the fact that these two guys have been thrown together in a forced marriage. Because it's true. It didn't ask to be married to it this way, necessarily. There's cosmic chat we can have about it. It did ask for it. It didn't ask for it. In a lot of ways, I guess it did ask for it. We asked to come into this world in a way. Jen, you would point out, and you would be right. I guess.
Now that you say it, but yes, I would think prior to incarnating here, you have some of this
We sort of asked for it, right? Is what you're, yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Hey, dummy,
Well,
you asked for it.
it's like the combination that you would need to come down.
Right. And so, but part of it is we didn't know what we were asking for in certain ways. And then boom, a red gets thrown together with a black, and it is a forced marriage. Plain up forced marriage. Boom. No choice. Here's a dowry. You're in India. Sorry for your stereotyping. And here's a forced marriage. There's your new husband. Don't worry, you'll learn to love him. Or don't worry, you'll learn to love her. However that worked out.
But I like learning about the red, because you can think you don't have a gift or aren't like able to do something, but then human design is like, actually, yes, you do. This is a natural gift of yours, because you have this channel. Half of it is red. That's why you don't realize that gift and that talent is there.
Yeah, and you're a bit insecure about it because it knows it's there, yet your personality isn't yet in tune with it so deeply that it can be like, aha, this is that. The second there's nervousness about it, there's a nervousness about it, and or a fear that comes through about a nervousness, you can realize, oh, I got a name for that. Came out of a tunnel. Oh, that's my personality noticing that I have a body that I'm forced married to. I have to love it. This is my cosmic love affair. I'm getting to it first. Once I love that, I can love anything. Yeah.
But I feel like since I learned that, it's like I feel confident in myself. Like I might maybe start doubting myself, like, oh no, I'm not good at persuading people, or I'm not very good at self. Now I own it. I'm like, yeah, that's in my chart.
I remember this moment. Yeah, I remember when this was a couple of weeks ago when you sort of came to this realization and we started talking about it. Wasn't that within the last month? It just sort of came out in a conversation.
Yes.
Own it. Yes.
Yeah. And that gate 36 on her side, that's just like mine too. It's where new things can feel scary and overwhelming, and you feel inadequate, and that like you're scared of failing because you don't have experience with it. And so I've noticed that come up for me whenever I'm starting something new. I'm sweating, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm anxious, but now I'm like, I'm like, man, that's just gate 36. Like, just do it, go through it, even though you're scared and uncomfortable, like just do it. And then you're going to feel good afterwards because you gain that experience with it. So
that experience. And in this particular, we'll move on to the other body graphs next, but in this particular body graph, we see a gate 55. So this individual is absolutely aware that their spirit must feel full. I want to feel a full spirit on this transaction, in this group, with these people, on this subject, on this trajectory, whatever. And that crisis feels like crisis. And it's like, I don't know, makes me question, does my spirit feel full? And spirit consciousness is something we're all becoming incredibly aware of. We have to nurture our gate 55s on this planet because they're ushering in the spirit awareness. They're ushering it in for all of us. Gate 55 is in the world. So we all have it. We all have spirit awareness coming in. It's the people with it defined in their body graph that are vibrating it out. So let's build a protective cone around every one of them and be like, dude, you're loved, man. This is all good. This is, go down, go up, do the things. We're here. We got you. To support this gate 55's ushering in of the spirit awareness. We're only 6 years away from it. 5. We're 5 years away from it. Not even anymore.
We're not far off.
Yep. So let's do the next couple of charts. I think I sent 4. 5.
No, I only had 3 left, and I didn't know they'd come out so tiny. So I hope you can read them.
Oh yeah, no, I can see them. I can absolutely see them. So I'm going to do the top right. This is an individual no names.
I think I have a double. I did do. This one's a double one. I thought I changed it out.
Okay.
These two are just the new ones.
Okay. All good. And there's no other body graphs because I know there was another one, but
there was. I just when I was downloading them, I had this one as a double one. So.
Well, the person on the top right, this person, so they're a manifesting generator. They're busy. They like shocking things. They have this powerful ego that's defined, and it's defined to a root center with this experiential process. It's got the format channel that is the experiential way. It's the format for the experiential way, 5242. This is the channel of maturation. It's always trying to mature and experience. So this person unconsciously, they finish things. They want to finish things. They get hungry to finish things. And they are insecure over whether or not they're going to finish. Should I even start? They'll ask themselves. Because the red gives them all the sacral power they need to finish. And then they're busy about finishing. Look at it. It's doubly defined. Right? Red and black. So this person is just a busy manifesting generator. They're busy having their mouth talk all the time, blah, 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 blah. And it's perfect for this person. It's just when it's not invited, they will start to recognize that wasn't invited. But here's this channel of maturation, always wanting to start a process, always wanting to finish a process, yet unconscious gate 25, unconscious gate 21, unconscious gate 15, unconscious gate 42. Let me keynote those things. I'm not so sure about the process I'm entering into. I like my fixed patterns, but I don't know what those fixed patterns always are. They're delivered to me. I don't deliver them to myself. So they don't know what their fixed patterns are. This person is terribly confused that, hey, I like it my way. And they're insecure about voicing that because they don't always know what that way is. They had to get used to that over time in their vehicle, living their life, to recognize what their fixed patterns are. I mean, this is about being in the flow, the fixed patterns of a new flow. So the experiential way is always delivering them a new flow, yet their fixed logical patterns out of that gate 5 is like, well, I had these fixed patterns from before. What are you delivering me something new for? And that can feel terribly confusing. And then gate 25 is unconscious. That's the ability to absorb shock. And he's got the whole channel. So the 25 is like the cosmic shock absorber for humanity. It's like, shock me, baby. Hit me again. You got the paddles. Turn the paddles up. Paddle me again. 25 is always there to accept the shock. And 21 wants to be in control. So this person would like to control when they receive the shock that's going to mutate them into action. And they have unconscious in them, part of that manifesting generator channel, 3420. So add it all up. They get confused over what is it that they're willing to absorb. Why can't they control the environment and the circumstances and the patterns by which will deliver them what they want to have for shocking stuff? Where instead they just get towed along on a big fat crash party of, the next new thing happened. The next new thing happened. The next new thing happened. And I would keynote this person as all of that. And again, more 36. I see lots of 36 in the world, Savannah. It's very 36y, I see. This planet, it's very 20, it's very 36y. The body graph at the bottom. Again, some more 36 for us. So that stuff just comes out of a tunnel. Again, this being is just, they've spent a lifetime concerning themselves with the experiences that they think they don't have, rather than concerning themselves as they start to learn their body graph, concerning themselves with they have no control over which experiences are going to actually feel good. They have to investigate. I see a 1-3 profile. They have to literally be a martyr and tear down what doesn't work. And through that, they will start to realize what actually feels like a crisis or not. Not to mention it's in an open center. Both of these two examples, that crisis is in an open center, so it's intermittent. This being doesn't even notice that there's a little crash wave crisis coming along until suddenly someone presents it, or it shows up in their own consciousness where it's something they have their aha moment. They have an insight or a breakthrough that they are in touch with. Like gate 43 and gate 11 have ideas and have breakthroughs and insights. This is our conceptual way. So they have conscious access to intermittently have all these great ideas. They show up. They keep showing up. I love it. They're here. Sometimes they're there. Sometimes they're not. Suddenly it feels like a crisis because gate 36 wants to experience those ideas and those breakthroughs. And suddenly it shows up. And there's that very same configuration you were talking about, Savannah, where not only is it the gate 57 that's unconscious in them, the gate 44, but it's also a gate 57. 57 is afraid of tomorrow. 44 is afraid of the past. 57 is this penetrating awareness that can penetrate, literally can freaking penetrate into the future about an inch. It's literally powerful. 57 penetrates. The spleen itself penetrates our known awareness by a little bit, by, like I say, an inch. I I call it penetrating into the future about an inch or half an inch.
Isn't gate 57? They say it's one of the most intuitive gates.
It is the most intuitive awareness. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since we became bipedal standing up, this was our friend. This made us literally be aware of everything in our present moment and forward. Present moment and forward. So that's real important because I have to live in the next present moment that is ahead of me, forward. And 57 enabled and empowered the knowing of our own survival and our own behavior in it. It empowered that, and here we are. You know.
Can I share a quick story about gate 57? So I have gate 57 in my chart. It's unconscious, and so I always used to think of myself like, oh, I'm not intuitive. Like I don't have intuitive like gifts like other people, and
for them, right?
Yeah, but now that and I have a story where I decided to do a Kundalini yoga teacher training. Like here, I had never even done a class before the yoga, but I'd done the meditations, and so I just like jumped and I did the teacher training, and I was really like scared about it, but I was sharing about in this group how I didn't think I was like intuitive or. And then the girl was like, what are you talking about? She's like, you came to this teacher training, never even doing a class, you know, like that's pretty intuitive and jumping into something and it was like a really life-changing experience for me. So it's just funny to me that here I had that gate, but it's red, right? The most intuitive gate. But then I thought I wasn't intuitive. It was like something I desired and didn't think was there, but it was there. And I had to have other people tell me that no, you are intuitive. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you did this, you did this, you did this.
All the cool things that people are pointing out to us that love us, our friends, the people that tell us these things, they're telling us our red gates. They're noticing them because again, they're in the world. They are open to these red gates. We all are struck from the same body graph, different features, right? The body graph stays the same. The imprinting changes. So we're all wicked familiar that we're all basically the same creature, but imprinted differently. So our friends tell us this in Savannah. That's just such great stuff. I love it when we notice that stuff. And when did you decide to take the class? Not what date, but like, did it just show up one day? It's like, I'm going to do this yoga teacher training.
Yeah, it just kind of came up, and I was like, I have to do this. Just everything inside me was like, you have to do that. I don't know how it's going to happen. So we just somehow got the money together, and I was able and found a babysitter, and I was able to do it. And it was like, I can tell that experience is like completely changed the direction of my life. And so, yeah, so I've totally seen now that
it came out of the tunnel. Where was it the week before and the month before? Where was it? It was waiting, brewing, coming out of your awareness. And as soon as your body's chemistry was ready, it delivered you its truth. And all you had to do was be your projector self and recognize it. And you did. And you scrounged up the money. Your investigator self, your big fat ego said, we're going to get it. We're going to do this. Your behavior would not stop until your behavior dragged you into that class. That's what this perfected form is. It's the perfected form of our behavior. Our behavior moves us along our trajectory. So the perfected form always survives. It survives all these moments, and it thinks it doesn't survive these moments because half of it's red.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think is so cool about learning the red. This is actually something I've been doing a lot of, is learning the themes and attributes of all my red gates. So then I have it in my mind. So then sit back and be the observer. And then you notice you do something and you're like, oh my gosh, that was gate 6, right? Like gate of conflict. I totally just did that, you know? And so I don't know. I feel like it helps you like believe in yourself, and you think that there's these gifts that aren't there, but they are there, and to trust those, and that they'll come out when they're supposed to come out. But you can't control it, right? Like you can't control the red. So it just helps you become the observer and kind of trust that attribute or that gift is there, and it will come out when it is
there. Last thing I'll say about this top right body graph is I just noticed it real quick. Look at all that red around the solar plex center. Open solar plex. So this person doesn't necessarily know what it wants to feel. It's not sure. It can't tell until it's being conditioned. It's got 2 gates pointing at it off the root They are red and 3 gates on it. This is a giant unconscious emotional cluster bleep. I'm being good on Sundays. So look at all that pressure from the root, the pressure to provoke, the pressure to approach. I want to approach, but I'm provocative. I have to provoke them. Oh my God, I provoked them and I can't approach them anymore. Oh my God, I have this burning feeling. I want to be next to them. Gate 30. It's a clinging feeling. I can't tell why it's clinging. It's intermittent. Uh-oh, it went. Oh, it came back. Oh, it left. Oh, I'm here. Oh, I love her. Oh, no, I don't. This person is going back and forth and not knowing that their emotional solar plex, A, is not defined, and B, all this activity pointing at it has got them doing this back and forth. If they were aware of their red unconscious lines, they would be like, oh, that's a lot of action going on down there. I'm going to have to watch this. I am provocative. I do want to approach this person. Sometimes I don't want to approach this person. I have friction. Gate 6. I want to have friction with this person. I don't want to have friction with this person. I'm a hermit. I'm a 5-2. I'm always being projected upon. So I'm part hermit. I don't want anything to do with this person. Oh, my God, I want everything to do with this person. I can't tell what I want to have to do with this person. Oh my God, I'm just so frustrated. How about I do what an open emotional center does and run away from the conflict? Let me run away. This person has been running away from everything over and over again his whole life or her whole life. So, I mean, most likely, I don't know. I would have to talk to them again, but most likely, actually, I haven't spoke to this person yet. This is one of those people who got away. I almost did, and we never got a chance to do the deed. Is there another chart?
No, that's all. That's all the slides.
So we can see what all these things are. Aaron, I wish we had your chart. We could just pull up your chart or even mine.
I have it in front of me.
Oh, you do? What red gates do you have?
36,
Very
37,
Yep.
19, 52, and 58 are my pure red.
36, 37. So that 37, as I recall, is part of a definition, the channel of community.
Yeah, the 40 is red and black.
Okay. So you know the black part of that 40 is willing to work, and that black part of 40 is also willing to hold people at bay. It's a nihilist at the same time. It's a hard worker. And as soon as the community is right and the affection from the community is right, you're in. You're in and you're being affectionate yourself. But that red line, that gate of affection, the gate of the love of things inside the community, all things organically, micro and macro, all things community. It's aware of that hugging, loving affection that it gives for all the work that everyone does. But you're not always aware that you like the affection of the other until you're right in it. Oh, they're trying to be affectionate with me. Maybe. I'm not sure. It's true, you're not sure. That's okay. Mm-hmm. It's an awareness. It comes off your solar plex. So that's the awareness of, is this the right affection for me? But as soon as it is the right affection for you, suddenly you recognize there's no crisis anymore. But 36 always is delivering you this feeling of crisis. Not knowing, inexperience, what will happen next, emotional nervousness over what's next. And since you don't know what's next, suddenly, inadequacy. I might not be adequate. They might not be adequate. The whole thing might not be adequate. I have feelings of inadequacy. I don't know if this is the right affection for me. I don't even know if I'm affectionate. I can imagine there's been times in your life where you asked, am I lovable? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, definitely. And questioning like the love that I give, like, and I know that, yes, I do give love and yes, I receive love. But yeah, that definitely happens sometimes where I'm like, am I even like giving?
Right.
Yeah. But I think I noticed a quote that I say too is like, it's like when there's like crisis and like, it's like literally like the trash guy is coming to get the trash and I just have to like go get the bathroom trash. So like it's not a crisis at all. And I'll be like, and I like my quote is like, okay, everybody calm down. But like I'm just talking to myself, but I'm like, okay, everybody calm down. That's my quote. So I've noticed that. I'm like, okay, I'm creating a crisis for no reason. Like just get the trash.
Right. But in the everybody calm down, you have a little fun with yourself.
Yeah, so I'm like, everybody calm down, and then like I'll be with like my roommate or a friend, and they're like, we're calm, like nobody's calm, and I'm like, no, I'm talking to me and my team, like I'm talking to my team.
Dude, this is good this is human awareness. My team. These are good. These are good angles. We're gonna have to incorporate this language in some of our slides. My team. Everybody, calm down. I mean, that's self-talk. Hey, everybody, calm down. Okay, orderly, single file over here. Boys on one side, girls on the other.
Yeah, and everyone else is calm, so they're like, don't tell me to calm down. I'm like, no, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to myself. Right.
Don't tell me to calm down, and I myself don't tell myself to calm down. I'm having a little mini crisis, and it's kind of fun. I'm getting the stupid trash, and
yeah, I laugh at it now. Yeah,
and your body's moving, and your cells are pulsing, and your oxygen is flowing, and as long as you didn't give that actual crisis meaning, you're living out your healthiest moments in the now, simply getting the bathroom trash bucket or the stupid trash pickup.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Explode that out into a lifetime, and you start to realize I can live many thousands and millions of my best, healthiest moments. And suddenly all my blood is flowing right. And suddenly my heart condition fixed itself. And or the dialysis that I always needed, I need a lot less of. And or the diabetes I thought I had, type 2, was really just, it's barely there. I just have to watch my sugar a little bit. All of it starts to calm down. Yes, we can add diet to that. We can add all the things that we now know, homeopathic medicines that are good food, and plant medicines that we know we have to get back to, away from this awful pharmacological crap hole that is just murdering people. We know we want to get out of that, and this is another holistic foundational aspect by which to do this. It belongs in a big giant holistic practice. We need to open up a megaplex with all the healing arts all in one spot, and as a big giant day spa in a pretty place, and with a Guatemala location.
Yes.
And a desert location and a northeast
worldwide.
Multiple countries. What was that? Step Brothers International. Worldwide. What was the name of their company? We Are. I love that.
Entertainment 720.
So we are.
Or no, is that from Parks and Rec? I don't know.
Entertainment International. Worldwide. Who's driving the boat? That was good stuff. So these were the red lines.
I didn't see that.
Jen, you gotta see Step Brothers. I believe I've detailed now several comedies that, like, they're just too good to
it's good. It's like stupid comedy, like Dumb and Dumber. Like, I love that movie, but that's like embarrassing, but like also not. It's from my childhood.
It's a place I get to go away at, and they did make it real. They could have been stepbrothers in their 40s. It's possible.
Yes.
Totally unaware of what the hell's going on and wanting to watch Shark Week. It's not their fault. So I'm done with the red lines unless somebody has questions or wants to add a thing on it. The importance of the red lines is to witness our duality. There is two of us. We're merged together into one. It's such a great big concept that we just need to wrap our heads around. There's no getting around it anymore, is the thing.
I have the answer to our question. The Step Brothers company is called Prestige Worldwide.
Prestige Worldwide.
Yes.
Thanks.
And thinking of my quote, the like, okay, everybody calm down. That's reminding me that I also like did the practice of like naming my ego, like giving a name to the ego, like that particular voice in your head. So I wonder if there's like something here for us to play with a little bit more, like noticing the red gates, and it's like, what are those quotes, or like not what they say, but what you could say in response, or what they say also, like what, I don't know, like what they say and then what you say in response. Like, I guess, because for my trash example, it'd be like, like
everybody
they're trying and they're waiting and I didn't have it ready and they're waiting for me and like now I'm rude and like, oh, I'm like not polite, but it's like, everybody calm down, like nobody cares, like they don't care at all.
Everybody, what was the other one? So everyone calm down, and I forgot what
everybody calm down. And then my ego, I named her Daisy, and so like I'll just say to her, like, I'm like, no, Daisy, like we're not looking for your input.
Ego beings here, so I don't know. Maybe you could all maybe have various names for it and all. I think it's a good idea to name our centers. That's actually something a kid would do. Now that I think of it.
Oh, that's a fun activity. Yeah. I make Daisy pick flowers when she's being annoying. I'm like, go pick me flowers. Like, go, get out of here. And then I
Right.
have like flowers like in my brain that she picked.
Dude, I love this. This is good
That's
stuff.
pretty.
It's wicked pretty. Jen, what do you make? So we're done. I can't think of the next thing to say.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up Sunday's show. Thank you, everybody who tuned in. I think you did an awesome job, Dan. And ladies, thank you for joining. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. Click the links down below. Tune in on Wednesday night's episode because we will be doing Julian Assange.
Julian
Correct?
Assange. We're doing Julian. I love this guy. I still don't have his chart yet. I got to figure out for sure his chart.
Yeah, we're still in the process of finding all the information in his chart, but we are looking to do Julian Assange. So make sure you tune in. And yeah, I hope everyone has a beautiful Sunday. Go outside, and if it's not too hot, enjoy it. I don't think many people will be going outside in Houston because it's really hot today.
I'm outside putting water on my plants in a few minutes. Damn.
Oh, yeah, that they need it. So I need to do mine too. All right, everybody. We will see you on Wednesday night. Thanks.
Thanks.